Let me start by saying some of this may sound weird to you. I've been made fun of for some of this stuff, but it's helped me make over 7 figures online in my business with just one digital product doing a little over 900K. So who's the joke really on? Look, this is where stuff changed my life, and it's only going to take me about 5 minutes to break down these 5 things. So if you don't have 5 minutes to spare, then you'll probably just end up living a life that you hate, doing what you don't want to do on a day-to-day basis, and selling all of your time for a little bit of money instead of doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, and make more while working less while making peaceful, passionate, purposeful profit. So if that's you, have a swell life. I'm sure it will be amazing. But look, the first thing that I did was that I stopped running away from my problems, and that's what you need to do. Most people, they are avoiding every single problem in their life, and they're not realizing that those problems are where the money lies. Because all that business is, and I need you to understand how simple this is, all that it is coming up with a solution to somebody else's problem. So instead of avoiding your problems, if you can just fix those problems, you can now sell the solution to other people that had that same problem. That's all that I've done on my entrepreneurial journey. I used to pray to God every single day for opportunities. Never in my life once have I ever prayed to God and asked for money, but I will pray daily for opportunities. And I was being presented with all of these problems, and it took me forever to come to the realization that these problems are the answers to my prayers. God was blessing me because I was like, okay, if I can just solve my own problem, then I can sell the solution to other people that are going through the same exact thing that I have figured out. And that's all that business is. That's all that entrepreneurship is. So instead of avoiding your problems, instead of running away from your problems, sit there, assess the situation, fix your own problem, and now you have $1 million business right there, simply just selling that solution to other people that are going through the same exact thing. Number two, now a lot of people think that this is really weird, and a lot of people actually get intimidated by this, but number two is that I started to embrace my ignorance. A lot of people, they're intimidated by something that they have no clue on how to do, but when I don't know how to do something, I actually embraced it and I used that to my advantage. And a big key to my success when I first got started was having absolutely no clue on what I was doing, because I didn't know if I was messing something up or not. And I got to move with my instincts. And your instincts are powerful. I choose to believe that my instincts, they come from a higher place, because every living being on planet Earth, they have natural instincts that were given to them since birth. So think about it. When a shark is born, a shark doesn't swim around the ocean asking other sharks how to be a shark. A shark gets born, it swims around and starts biting shit. Boom, it's a shark. A dog doesn't have to ask how to be a dog. It's just a dog. But then all of a sudden, us humans, with all of this intellectual brain capacity that we have, we start questioning everything, and we have to feel like we have to have somebody else tell us how to be what it is that God intended us to be. And I also feel that when you don't listen to your instincts, you're being disrespectful to God. And I've gotten whooped. When I tell you, I've gotten whooped every single time. I don't listen to, I like to call it my first mind or my first brain. When I don't listen to my first brain, you know, that first thought that comes through your mind, or that gut instinct, I get whooped, I get beat, it goes bad, and it's always really painful. And then in hindsight, I always be like, man, I knew I was supposed to do that. Well, when I first got started in my business, I had that ignorance. I didn't have all of the information to start second guessing all of my decisions, and I was just moving off of pure instincts. And the great thing about that also, I got to fail a lot faster. So I got to figure out what actually worked way quicker, because I was just hurrying up and messing up everything. And the only way to figure out what does work is by figuring out what doesn't work. And here's another thing about embracing your ignorance. When you don't know how to move, you move differently than everybody else in your space. You move differently than all of your competitors. So guess what? You stick out like a sore thumb. There's that term you probably heard of, beginner's luck, right? Beginner's luck is a real thing, because like I said, they're purely moving off of instincts. And a lot of people never tap into their superpowers of their actual instincts because they don't embrace the actual ignorance. And that leads into number three, which is this. I stay in touch with my inner child. I actually fight on a daily basis to stay in touch with my inner child. Kanye West has this lyric that I love. Take your opinions Whether you love him, hate him, like him, thinks he's a terrible person, think he's a great person. Take your opinions away from Kanye West and just listen to this little lyric right here. The lyric is from this song called Power. The album is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Kanye said, my childlike creativity and honesty is honestly getting crowded by these grown thoughts. Reality is catching up with me, taking my inner child, I'm fighting for custody. Right? He realized that his inner child is where all of his superpowers lie, and whoever they are, they try to strip us from that inner child because they know that that is where all of our aspiration lives. That is where all of our motivation lives. That is where all of our dreams lie. That is where all of our confidence lives. So think about this. When you were 10 years old, you thought you could do and be anything that you could be in life. What happened? You grew up, you got realistic, you started adulting. 10-year-old you had it all figured out. And this is something that I really want to thank my mama and my daddy for. My mama told me when I was a kid, over and over again, no matter what, that I can do and be anything that I wanted to be. I believed her, right? She brainwashed me for success. My pops, he told me, can't no motherfucker mess with you. You the baddest motherfucker walking earth. Those are his literal words, right? I believed it. I believed it when I was 10 years old. I believed it now. But here's the thing about being in touch with your inner child. You need to be childlike, not childish. There's a bunch of childish people running around out here. I ain't saying to be running around doing a bunch of childish stuff, acting like a child, but you can be childlike in your imagination. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds of our time, right? Albert Einstein, he said that imagination is more important than intellect, and that imagination lies in their inner child. And also, that's all that business is too, is using your imagination to come up with a solution to a problem in the marketplace and then effectively communicating that solution to your intended market. That's all that entrepreneurship is, but it starts from the imagination. So be childlike, not childish. And that comes down to also just have some fun. I mean, have some actual fun. I guarantee you the things that you like to do when you were 10 years old, you still enjoy them today. You just stop doing them. I don't know what it is about adults to where they don't have actual fun. Like the only fun that they can have, it causes them to poison their bodies. They have to be intoxicated and they have to be high and turn into a stupid person to have fun. And you can actually have fun in your business when you gamify it. I turn everything into a game, and that's how I'm able to put numbers on the board, because I treat it like an actual game. I have fun with it. And one of the ways that I can gamify my business is by doing number 4. And a lot of people think that I'm weird for this. It's that I celebrate my failures. So most people, they don't realize that they have been conditioned by the school system to think that failure is a bad thing, when I think that failure is a great thing. Look, when I was in school, if I got something right 64% of the time, I was considered a failure. And then they make you feel like a failure too, right? They write a big F in red ink on the paper, and then they draw a big circle around the red F. Like, you're a failure, you failed. Like, dang, that doesn't feel good. It don't feel good to be a failure. But then I get out here in the real world, I'm like, nothing works like this. If I'm right 64% of the time, I'm going to be the richest and wealthiest man that has ever lived in human existence if I get something right 64% of the time. Like, failing ain't bad, it's actually good, because the only way that you figure out what does work is by figuring out what doesn't work. And when you figure out what doesn't work, that means that you failed at something. And like 99% of people never get to where they want to get in life because they're afraid of failure and thinking that failing is a bad thing, when that's the only way that you're going to get to the good thing. That's the only way that you are going to get to where you actually want to be in life. So how I said a little earlier about how I started to gamify my business, I started to learn to love to hear the word no, and I started to turn it into a game of how many times that I heard no this day, this week, this month. So you may not know, the first business that I got started when I first fired my job, April 1st, 2016, was a small niche in real estate called wholesaling. Basically, all that I would do all day on the phone was just call people. I would just call people. It was brutal. I'm making hundreds of phone calls per day. Guess what? I'm getting told no so many times, and it got to a point to where I would get intimidated to get on the phone because I'm like, man, all these people just gonna tell me no. People are cursing me out. People are calling me out my name. I'm like, I don't want to call anybody. But I was like, I'm never going to make any money if I don't get on the phone. And I'd be damned if I go back to my 9 to 5, because I made a decision. I drew a line in the sand April 1st, 2016. And I said, I will never work for somebody else again a day in my life. So I had to figure something out, right? But then once I started to track my metrics or track my numbers, I realized that for every 100 no's that I got 3 to 5 appointments. From those 3 to 5 appointments, I got one deal. And from that one deal, it was anywhere between like $7,000 to $13,000. Sometimes they would be a little lower, sometimes they would be a little higher, right? So then I turned it into an actual game, and I was like, okay, can I get 100 people to tell me no today? Because I'm like, if I get those people to tell me no, if I get those 100 people to tell me no, I'm going to make around $10,000. Let's get to it. And it would get to a point to where I would celebrate getting those 100 no's. I would go to this South African restaurant that I really liked. And when I would sit at the bar, the bartender would be like, hey, you get them no's in today? And I'll say, yeah. And then they would make me my drink and my food. And we would like celebrate getting no's. The people that worked at the restaurant, they thought that it was the funniest thing ever, that I am literally celebrating getting told no 100 times. I looked forward to it. So I have that same mentality in my business once I took it 100% online. Those no's are people not clicking something. Those no's are people not clicking the link. Those no's are people not signing up for your email list. Those no's are people choosing not to subscribe. But guess what? I track those no's too. And I know how many no's I need to actually get to get my desired results. And guess what? The rules of the game stay the same. And here's another thing about failing. Failing, it just simply shows that you are actually putting in some work and that you're actually doing something and experimenting. So everybody that's out here not failing, they're not doing anything. So that judgment that you get from other people about your failures, I guarantee you that they are never doing anything, because you will never see a winner criticize somebody for failing, because they know that that just means that they're actually putting in the work. So hurry up, get those no's out the way, get those failures out the way, and you'll get to your yes a lot quicker. And celebrate those failures too. It actually makes you feel better on your entrepreneurial journey, because you need to give yourself a little pat on the back, because if you don't, it's just gonna feel like the world is constantly on your shoulders, and it's just gonna feel this burden, and then you'll start to hate what you do, and then it'll just eventually lead to being burnt out, and you'll quit like 99% of people do. That's why there's a 1%. And number 5 is this. I realized that generosity equals abundance. The more that you give, the more that you will receive. You know, give and ye shall receive. But here's the thing about being generous, and majority of people, they really never get to the point in their life where they understand this. The be comes before the get. You have to become the person first in order to get the thing or the outcome that you actually desire. So if you want to receive abundance, you have to become abundant. A lot of people think that they can get something that they've never gotten before just being the same as that person that you are. But hear me loud and clear when I say this, my friend. You have maxed out 100% of what you can achieve with the person that you are right now. You have to become something different. So if you want to gain abundance, you have to become abundant. And there's no better way to give than to give value. And that's actually the root and the foundation of creating more revenue for yourself in any aspect is value, because that's the only thing that people spend money on. It's something that has a perceived value to them. So the more value that you give out to people, the more value and abundance that you will receive in return. And people with a scarcity mindset, they will never get to a point where they get abundance, because they don't believe that there is enough to go around. They think that money is a finite resource and their time is an infinite resource, right? So that's why they're willing to spend something that they can't get back for something that's just flowing abundantly. Now, if you don't think that money is an infinite resource, then the pandemic didn't teach you anything, because they were literally just printing money out the air, right? And those scarcity minded people also, when they get a little bit of something, they hide it or they hoard it, or they don't want to tell anybody the secret because they don't think that they can ever get it again. I remember somebody, they sent me a message and they were like, man, I really appreciate you because you taught me how to go and get a bag. They had just made like extra maybe $12,000 or $13,000 online in their business. And they're like, and my friends won't even tell me where they get their shoes from. He's like, I need to change my circle. He realized that his friends are so scarcity minded that they won't even give him the plug on where they got some sneakers from. But a stranger online helped him make 5 figures in his business. But I'm telling you, if you just have a mindset of giving value to the marketplace, you get numbers coming in online, your business like all them that you see on the screen right now. So if you're ready to make more working less online from stuff that you already know, go ahead and click the link down in the description. Join this Credit at the Top community. For weekly coaching from myself, all my exclusive trainings, plus a private community and entrepreneurs, all designed to grow your business online. It's only $47 a month to join right now. That's less than a cup of coffee per day. So click the link down in the description to tap in, and I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. Now, I know some of this stuff, it may sound a little weird, but I'm okay with being a little weird because my little weird stuff, it works for me. And I'm pretty sure if you implement some of this stuff, it'll work for you. And also embrace your weirdness. All that little weird stuff about you, or all that little quirky stuff about you, that's where your superpowers lie. And that's where you'll stick out like a sore thumb on the internet also, because everybody's wondering why they can't get any traction or get seen or get any growth. But everybody's just trying to be a carbon copy of other people, and everybody looks the same. But in entrepreneurship and online, you want to stick out like a sore thumb. And that weirdness that you have will be the thing to make you stick out like a sore thumb. But don't be a weirdo. There's a difference between being weird and being a weirdo. Weird is cool. Weirdo, not good at all. So go ahead and click the link down in the description if you want to tap into the community. And I'll see you on our coaching call this Wednesday. Go ahead and check out this video right here for a system to create 3 tiny digital products that you'll make at least $100,000 on. It's Credit at the Top.